Welcome back to the channel. Today, we have something truly extraordinary lined up for you, something that might just change the way you look at pocket change forever. We're diving into a story that's a mix of mystery, history, a little bit of luck, and a whole lot of money. And when I say a lot of money, I mean hundreds of millions of dollars. Yes, you heard that right. So sit back, relax, and don't forget to stay with us until the end, because you won't believe just how much a tiny 5-cent coin from 2006 is worth today. It all started in a small town, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone else. Picture a quiet, tree-lined street, local diners that serve the best pie in the state, and a community center where the same families have gathered for generations. In this town lived an elderly man named Harold. Harold was a simple man, known for his love of history, his sharp wit, and his slightly peculiar hobby, coin collecting. He wasn't a professional by any means, just someone who found joy in the stories that old coins could tell. Harold's journey with the infamous 2006 5-cent coin began on a chilly morning in early spring. He was sipping his usual black coffee at the local diner, chatting with his friends about nothing in particular. That day, the waitress, a young woman named Clara, was short on change and handed Harold a few coins along with his receipt. Among those coins was a shiny, seemingly ordinary 2006 nickel. Harold pocketed the change without a second thought. It wasn't until later that evening, as Harold emptied his pockets onto his kitchen table, that he noticed something strange about one of the nickels. It wasn't just the gleam of the coin or the way the light hit it. There was something unusual about its surface, a slight irregularity, a tiny mistake that most people would never notice but that Harold's keen eyes immediately picked up. Curious, Harold retrieved his magnifying glass and peered closer. The mint mark looked slightly off, the edges were a touch different, and the overall texture of the coin seemed unusual compared to the others he had collected over the years. It wasn't an obvious flaw, no missing faces, no upside-down dates, but rather a subtle, almost imperceptible difference that sent a shiver of excitement down Harold's spine. Over the next few days, Harold became obsessed. He scoured the internet, digging through numismatic forums, auction records, and obscure articles. He even drove 2 towns over to visit a coin dealer he trusted. The dealer, a middle-aged man named Carl, took one look at the coin and raised an eyebrow. He didn't say much, just handed Harold a business card with a knowing nod and told him to make a few calls. What Harold discovered would rock his world. That seemingly ordinary 2006 5-cent coin was part of an extremely rare and mysterious batch that had been accidentally minted under highly unusual circumstances. The U.S. Mint, as it turned out, had been experimenting with a new minting process in 2006, trying to improve efficiency and reduce production costs. During this experimentation phase, a handful of coins were struck using an experimental alloy and slightly modified dies. These changes were meant to be strictly controlled, and any resulting coins were supposed to be destroyed. But somehow, a small batch escaped destruction. Some say it was an accident, others whisper about inside jobs and cover-ups. Whatever the reason, a few of these experimental 2006 nickels found their way into circulation, masquerading as regular coins. Over time, they slipped into pockets, purses, and cash registers, their true value hidden in plain sight. The scarcity of these coins, combined with the unique circumstances of their creation, made them unimaginably valuable to collectors. We're talking serious, life-changing money. Harold's particular coin, after being authenticated and appraised by top experts, was valued at an astronomical $374 million, the highest value ever recorded for a 5-cent coin in modern history. But Harold's story doesn't end there. You see, Harold wasn't just a collector, he was a storyteller at heart. Instead of cashing in immediately, he decided to use his newfound fame and fortune to bring attention to the beauty and history of coin collecting. He went on a speaking tour, visiting schools, libraries, and community centers across the country, sharing his story and inspiring a new generation of collectors. His message was simple but powerful. Sometimes, the most valuable things are the ones we overlook. As Harold traveled, the legend of the 2006 5-cent coin grew. Collectors and treasure hunters scoured their pockets, their piggy banks, and old coin jars in search of another hidden fortune. Auction houses reported a surge in coin sales, and even people who had never thought twice about their spare change started paying closer attention. Meanwhile, the mystery surrounding the coin deepened. Investigative journalists and historians began digging into the archives of the U.S. Mint, uncovering documents, memos, and testimonies that hinted at a larger story. There were reports of missing shipments, security breaches, and even rumors of a secret underground network of insiders who had been smuggling rare coins out of the mint for decades. One particularly persistent journalist, a woman named Jessica, dedicated 2 years of her life to uncovering the truth. Her journey took her from dusty libraries to high-security government facilities. She interviewed retired mint employees, tracked down obscure legal documents, and pieced together a narrative that suggested the 2006 P coins were just the tip of the iceberg. According to her findings, there were other experimental coins, equally rare and possibly even more valuable, still waiting to be discovered. Jessica's exposé caused a media firestorm. Suddenly, coin collecting wasn't just a quirky hobby, it was a full-blown treasure hunt. Pawn shops reported lines out the door. Banks saw a run on coin exchanges. Metal detectors became bestsellers overnight. Everyone, it seemed, was chasing the dream of finding that one coin that could change their lives forever. Back in Harold's hometown, things changed too. The local diner where he had first received the coin became a tourist attraction. People came from all over to sit at Harold's favorite booth, hoping that some of his luck would rub off on them. Clara, the waitress who had unknowingly handed Harold the $1 million nickel, was offered a lucrative book deal to tell her side of the story. She used the proceeds to open her own cafe, where she displayed a replica of the famous coin behind the counter. As for Harold, he remained humble through it all. Despite his newfound wealth, he continued living in his modest house, driving his old pickup truck, and spending his mornings at the diner with his friends. When asked why he didn't move to a mansion or buy a fleet of luxury cars, Harold would just smile and say, "What's the point of having a treasure if you forget where you found it?" In time, Harold's story became legend, passed down like a modern-day fairy tale. Parents told their children about the man who turned pocket change into a fortune, teachers used his story to inspire lessons about history and perseverance, and collectors continued to dream. The tale of the 2006 P 5-cent coin serves as a reminder that the world is full of hidden treasures, that sometimes the ordinary holds the extraordinary, and that a simple act, accepting change at a diner, can lead to adventures beyond your wildest imagination. And so, the next time you find yourself with a handful of change, take a moment. Look a little closer. You never know what hidden treasures might be waiting for you. Maybe it's not just a coin. Maybe it's a piece of history. Maybe it's a story waiting to be told. Or maybe, just maybe, it's your ticket to making history yourself. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this incredible story, please give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more amazing true stories that you won't hear anywhere else. Until next time, keep looking, keep dreaming, and remember, sometimes, the smallest things can have the biggest stories behind them. Next, it all starts in a small town. Picture a quiet little neighborhood where everyone knows everyone. There's an old man named George, a retired mechanic who had lived in the same weathered house for decades. George wasn't rich by any means, but he had a collection of old coins he kept in a wooden cigar box, passed down from his grandfather. Every once in a while, he'd open that box, run his fingers over the tarnished coins, and remember the stories his grandfather used to tell about the good old days when a nickel could buy you a loaf of bread or a movie ticket. One rainy afternoon, George decided to clean out his garage. Dust filled the air as he pulled boxes from shelves, uncovering memories from his younger days. There, tucked behind an old toolbox, he found the cigar box. Nostalgia hit him hard. He brought it inside, sat down at his kitchen table, and carefully lifted the lid. Inside were dozens of coins, pennies, dimes, quarters, nickels, some shiny, some green with age. His fingers, callous from years of hard work, gently sorted through them. Among them was a 5-cent coin, looking just a little different from the others. It was a 1990-60 Jefferson nickel, slightly worn but still bearing a strong image of Thomas Jefferson. George, curious, decided to do a little research. He wasn't a coin expert by any means, but he knew that sometimes certain dates or mint marks could mean something special. He fired up his old desktop computer, the fan whirring like a jet engine, and began searching. At first, nothing seemed unusual about a 1990-60 nickel. Millions were made, after all. But then he stumbled upon an article buried deep on a collector's forum. It spoke of a particular error in the minting process for some 1990-60 nickels, an incredibly rare error that resulted in a unique doubling on the coin's details, and only a handful were ever known to exist. Because of their scarcity, they had become one of the most sought-after coins among collectors. George's heart began to race. He grabbed a magnifying glass from his junk drawer and examined the coin closely. There it was, the slight doubling on Jefferson's eye in the steps of Monticello, almost invisible to the naked eye, but clear under magnification. Could it be? He wasn't sure. But the possibility was enough to set him on a journey that would change his life. He packed up the coin carefully, wrapping it in a soft cloth, and made an appointment with a local coin dealer. The dealer, a sprightly woman named Lisa with decades of experience, examined the coin under her professional equipment. She looked up at George, her eyes wide. "Sir," she said slowly, "I think you might be sitting on something extraordinary." George couldn't believe his ears. Lisa recommended that he send the coin to a major grading service for authentication. It took weeks of waiting, each day dragging slower than the last. George tried not to think about it too much, but every night, as he lay in bed, his mind wandered back to that little nickel and the what-ifs. Finally, the day came. A thick envelope arrived in his mailbox, the name of the grading company stamped across the front. Hands trembling, George tore it open. There it was, the official certification, 1990-60 Jefferson nickel, double die obverse, mint state 68. One of the highest grades ever recorded for this type. The news spread quickly through the coin collecting world. Articles were written. Collectors whispered about it on forums and at coin shows. Offers began to pour in. Some offered thousands, then tens of thousands. But George held out. He knew the coin's true worth would only grow as its legend did. A few months later, George was invited to a high-profile auction in New York City. Wealthy collectors from around the globe attended, each one hoping to add a piece of history to their collections. When George's coin came up for bidding, the room grew silent. The auctioneer started at a modest number, but the bids climbed quickly, almost frantically. Within minutes the bid had crossed $1 million. Then $2 million. $3. George sat there, almost in disbelief, as the final gavel came down, $251 million. The room erupted in applause. It was a record-breaking sale, the largest amount ever paid for a 5-cent coin in history. George, a man who had spent his whole life living modestly, was suddenly one of the wealthiest men in the country. The story made headlines worldwide. News anchors marveled at how something so small, so ordinary, could be worth so much. People everywhere rushed to check their coin jars, hoping to find their own hidden treasures. The 1990-60 nickel became a symbol of hope, of luck, and of the magic that can exist in the everyday objects we overlook. George didn't let the money change him. He stayed in his small town, though he did fix up his house, buying new furniture and finally getting the classic car he had always dreamed of owning. He donated generously to local charities, built a new community center, and even started a scholarship fund for local kids who wanted to go to college. More than anything, George continued to tell his story, not to brag, but to remind people that miracles can happen when you least expect them. Sometimes, the greatest treasures aren't hidden in far-off lands or ancient ruins but right in our own homes, waiting to be discovered. Years later, people still talk about George and his incredible find. Collectors continue to dream about stumbling across another rare 1990-60 nickel, and coin enthusiasts have made it a tradition to always check their change carefully. You never know what you might find out. It's amazing how a simple coin, smaller than the palm of your hand, could change a life forever. It makes you wonder what else is out there, hidden in plain sight, just waiting for the right moment and the right person to discover it. And that's why you should always stay curious, always take a closer look at the things you think you know. Because sometimes, fortune favors those who dare to wonder. If you enjoyed this incredible story and want more real-life tales of hidden treasures, unbelievable finds, and amazing history, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you never miss out on our next adventure. Trust me, there's so much more to come. And who knows? Maybe next time, the treasure will be yours. And never forget, the legendary 1996 5-cent coin, once worth a humble nickel, sold for an astonishing $251 million, making history as one of the greatest hidden fortunes ever uncovered. Last, it all begins not with the coin itself, but with a small-town boy named Andrew Callahan. Born in the quiet suburb of Newbridge in 1994, Andrew grew up surrounded by tales of hidden treasures. His grandfather, a man with a deep voice and a collection of dusty old books, often spun yarns of pirates, lost fortunes, and secret treasures buried beneath the very ground they walked on. While most kids eventually outgrew their grandparents' stories, Andrew didn't. Instead, he found himself drawn deeper into the world of collectibles and rarities. His first love wasn't comic books or trading cards like his friends, it was coins. By the time Andrew was in high school, he had amassed a modest collection of pennies, nickels, and quarters, none particularly rare or valuable, but each a testament to hours spent scouring yard sales, flea markets, and dusty antique shops. He didn't know it yet, but this hobby would one day lead him to something unimaginable. Fast forward to the spring of 2012. Andrew, now a college sophomore studying archaeology, decided to spend his spring break differently from his classmates. While others were off partying at beach resorts, Andrew was back in Newbridge, volunteering at a local historical society event. It was here that he met Eleanor Price, a sprightly 90-year-old woman who had lived in Newbridge her entire life. She had come to donate a box of old coins she claimed had belonged to her late husband. Most of the coins were fairly ordinary: wheat pennies, mercury dimes, some buffalo nickels, the usual finds. But at the very bottom of the box, nestled between two faded letters from the 1950s, Andrew found it, a 2012 5-cent coin. At first glance, it seemed laughably ordinary. It was, after all, barely 10 years old at the time. Nothing about it screamed treasure, but something caught Andrew's eye. The mint mark, D, was strangely off-center, and the surface of the coin shimmered oddly under the light, revealing faint, almost imperceptible anomalies in the design. He felt a shiver of excitement. Maybe it was a mint error, he thought. Maybe it was something special. Andrew asked Eleanor if he could buy the coin. She laughed and told him he could have it, along with the rest of the box. Grateful, Andrew took the collection home, where he spent hours researching the coin. He found almost nothing. No mention of a valuable 2012 5-cent coin. No news reports. No collectors' forums buzzing with excitement. Frustrated but unwilling to give up, Andrew decided to send the coin to a well-known grading service. He packed it carefully, wrote a detailed letter explaining the anomalies he noticed, and mailed it off, trying to temper his expectations. Weeks went by with no response. Then, one crisp morning, he received a phone call. It was the grading service. The man on the other end sounded breathless. They had never seen anything like it. Andrew's coin wasn't just a mint error, it was a phenomenon. A once-in-a-lifetime anomaly created by a perfect storm of conditions during production, so rare that experts debated whether it should even be classified as a standard mint error. Word got out. News articles were written. Numismatic forums exploded with theories. Some believed the coin had been part of an experimental batch, a top-secret run of coins meant to test a new alloy that was abandoned after production issues. Others suggested the coin had somehow survived a catastrophic production error that should have destroyed it. Whatever the case, collectors around the world began clamoring for it. Offers flooded in. $10,000. $50,000. $100,000. Andrew could hardly believe it. But the coin's value only skyrocketed when a mysterious private collector, rumored to be an eccentric billionaire with a passion for numismatic rarities, made an offer no one could have predicted: $38 million. Andrew, barely 20 years old, suddenly found himself in possession of one of the most valuable coins in history. The sale was finalized in a secretive, high-security transaction involving lawyers, armored vehicles, and a mountain of paperwork. Overnight, Andrew became a millionaire many times over. The coin itself disappeared into the private collection, rarely seen by public eyes again, but its legend only grew. Experts debated its origins for years. Documentaries were made. Theories flourished. Some said the anomalies in the coin's surface were due to a rare cosmic event that disrupted the mint's machinery at precisely the right moment. Others whispered about secret mint experiments tied to military contracts. Meanwhile, Andrew used his newfound wealth wisely. He finished college, started a foundation dedicated to historical preservation, and funded numerous archaeological digs around the world. He never forgot the thrill of finding that coin, of holding history and mystery in his hands. Over the next decade, Andrew's story became part of numismatic lore, a modern-day treasure tale that inspired countless others to take up coin collecting. Children who heard his story begged their parents for coin albums. Hobby shops reported record sales. Even the U.S. Mint leaned into the excitement, releasing special treasure hunt editions of coins to fuel public interest. Of course, not every 2012 D5 coin was special. Millions were minted, most of them perfectly ordinary. But that one coin, Andrew's coin, remained unique. Its existence served as a reminder that treasures aren't always hidden under X's marked on maps. Sometimes, they're tucked away in dusty old boxes, overlooked and unassuming, waiting for someone with the right eyes to find them. In interviews, Andrew often spoke about the serendipity of it all. How easily he could have missed the coin. How many others must have handled it without realizing what they held. It taught him, he said, the importance of patience, curiosity, and a deep respect for the little things often taken for granted. Collectors still search for another coin like Andrew's. Some claim to have found similar anomalies, but none have matched the original's unique combination of errors and characteristics. It remains a singular piece of numismatic history, a testament to the magic that can happen when fate, chance, and a little bit of human curiosity collide, and perhaps that's what makes the story so powerful. Not just the jaw-dropping value of the coin, though that certainly captured the world's attention, but the idea that greatness, that history, that wonder, can emerge from the most ordinary of places. Every year, on the anniversary of the discovery, Newbridge holds a small festival in Andrew's honor. Kids dress up as treasure hunters, and local businesses sponsor scavenger hunts. The town, once sleepy and overlooked, now thrives with visitors and tourists eager to walk the same paths that young Andrew once wandered, and through it all, the story of the 2012 D5 coin lives on, a symbol of hope, curiosity, and the limitless potential hidden in everyday life. So next time you find a nickel jingling in your pocket or lying forgotten on the sidewalk, take a closer look. You never know. You might just be holding a piece of history, a fortune hidden in plain sight, waiting for you to discover it. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another incredible story like this. Who knows? Maybe next time, it'll be your lucky day. Stay curious, keep exploring, and until next time, happy hunting!